Professor Zaltesh's crystalline appendages clicked against the podium as she surveyed her class of military history students. The lecture hall of the Galactic Academy fell silent, filled with representatives from 47 different species, all eager to learn about the most controversial law in the Galactic Council's history, Resolution 7754, colloquially known as the Human Prohibition Act. Today, Professor Zaltesh began, her translator implant humming. We discuss why humanity, despite being granted full council membership, is barred from participating in any galactic military conflict. A young Krethian in the front row, his scales shimmering with curiosity, raised a tentacle. Professor, isn't it because humans are too primitive? Their technology is centuries behind ours. Zaltesh's ocular membranes flickered, the equivalent of a bitter smile. That is what most believe, Cadet Froth. That assumption has kept the galaxy sleeping soundly for 3 decades. The truth, however, is far more terrifying. She activated the holo display, and an image materialized, a blue-green planet, peaceful and unassuming, Earth. 32 years ago, the Viridian Empire made a grave miscalculation. Zaltesh continued. They believed humanity's lack of advanced weaponry made them suitable for conquest. After all, humans had barely achieved faster-than-light travel. They possessed no plasma cannons, no quantum shields, no phase disruptors. The display shifted, showing sleek Viridian warships approaching Earth's solar system. The Viridians sent a subjugation fleet, 300 vessels, standard protocol for a pre-contact civilization. They expected surrender within days. Zaltesh paused, letting the weight of her next words settle. Not a single Viridian ship returned. Murmurs rippled through the classroom. A Thalaxian student's bioluminescent patches flared in disbelief. Impossible. The Viridians were a Tier 3 military power. Zaltesh emphasized. The Viridian Empire no longer exists. She pulled up classified footage, cleared for educational purposes only after decades of debate. The students watched as human vessels, crude by galactic standards, held together with what appeared to be welded metal and chemical propulsion, swarmed the Viridian fleet like insects. Humans don't fight like us, Zaltesh explained. Every species in this room comes from a world where evolution favored specialization. The Krethians evolved intelligence to navigate oceanic diplomacy. The Thalaxians developed their neural networks for hive coordination. Even my own people, the Zephrites, evolved our crystalline cognition for mathematical precision. She zoomed in on the human ships, enhancing the image to show their crews. Humans evolved on a death world. They are persistence hunters who once chased prey for days until it collapsed from exhaustion. They are pack hunters who developed language to coordinate ambushes. They are tool users who learned to weaponize everything from rocks to atoms. Most critically, they are the galaxy's only known sapient species that evolved as both predator and prey. A Maluvian student chirped nervously. Surely other species have such backgrounds. No, Zaltesh stated flatly. We've cataloged 14,000 intelligent species. Humans are unique. Do you know what happens when you corner an animal that has spent millions of years being hunted? She didn't wait for an answer. It fights with the desperation of extinction encoded in every cell. The footage continued. Human ships rammed Viridian vessels when ammunition ran out. Boarding parties used vacuum exposure as a weapon. One human commander deliberately crashed his damaged ship into a Viridian dreadnought's reactor core, destroying both vessels. The Viridians retreated after losing 40% of their fleet in the first engagement. They should have left Sol System entirely. Zaltesh's voice grew somber. They didn't. They called for reinforcements and attempted orbital bombardment of Earth. The display showed what happened next, and several students looked away. Human forces didn't just defend, they pursued. They captured Viridian vessels, reverse-engineered their technology in real time, and turned it against its creators. When the Viridians deployed biological weapons, humans adapted their own pathogens, specifically targeting Viridian physiology. The war lasted 4 months, Zaltesh said quietly. By the end, humans had tracked the Viridian fleet back to their home systems. The Empire sued for peace. Humanity refused. They had coined a phrase during their world wars: unconditional surrender. The Viridians learned what it meant. She displayed the aftermath. Viridian worlds occupied, their military infrastructure dismantled, their government dissolved, not destroyed, subjugated with surgical precision. The council intervened, offering humanity membership in exchange for ceasing hostilities. During negotiations, we learned something that still haunts the council chambers. Saltesh's voice dropped. Humans have a saying, war is hell. We assumed they meant it was terrible. We were wrong. To humans, hell is a place of eternal creative punishment. War, to them, is where they send others to hell. A Krellian student whose species prided themselves on tactical doctrine spoke up. But Professor, surely our combined fleets could contain them. Could we? Saltesh challenged. Humanity has 17 billion individuals. 93% volunteered for military service during the Viridian conflict. Not conscripted, volunteered. Their industrial capacity converted to war production in weeks. Their scientists weaponized concepts we hadn't imagined. They learned our languages, our tactics, our weaknesses, and adapted faster than any species on record. She pulled up the final slide, the text of resolution. 754, the Human Prohibition. Act doesn't exist because humans are too primitive for galactic warfare. It exists because they're too good at it. They don't fight for territory or resources or even survival. They fight with a totality that terrifies us. Because to humans, war isn't a political tool or a last resort. It's something they've refined for 10,000 years of continuous practice. Professor Zaltesh surveyed her stunned students. Humanity agreed to the prohibition not because they had to, but because they understood our fear. They saw what they'd done to the Viridians and realized they scared us more than any enemy we'd ever faced. So they made a deal. They would never join our wars and we would never give them a reason to start their own. She deactivated the display. Class dismissed. And remember, humanity chose peace. Pray to whatever powers you believe in that they never choose otherwise. As the students filed out in contemplative silence, each carried the same thought. The galaxy's most dangerous species was the one that volunteered to chain itself.